The two forms to do this. If you're using a credit card, you have to ensure that you're filling out the G1450. And if you are using your bank account and you're doing an ACH transaction, that is, they're taking the information using your account number, your routing number, you're going to be using form G1650. Immigration is no longer accepting your checks, and they are no longer accepting your money order. It's because government is moving to an electronic system to avoid check fraud and so forth. But I will tell you this, it's also easily identifiable, yeah, as to who is making the payment for your transactions. And sometimes some of you are going to go into your marriage-based cases and they will ask you who made the payment. And this is another avenue for them to pick up fraud. Sometimes when you're picking up your husband off a shelf and they absolutely know nothing, and they ask that person, and oftentimes it's a US citizen that gets asked, how is it that the fees were paid? They already know which account was used, yeah, to pay for the transaction. So this is also a method by USCIS to counteract fraud, right? So just a reminder, starting October 28th, all your payments, whether it is done your paper filing or your online filing, you're using your bank account, or you're going to be using your credit card. For your paper filings, they have created two forms. Well, the G1450 form, which is a credit card payment form, that was always around. But there is a new form, which is a G1650, that you are going to be required to use if you do not use the credit card form. So just tuning in, good morning. You're listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne on 97.1 FM, RIJAM Radio HD3. We are here on Sunday mornings between the hour of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. So for those of you who you have your work permit and you're seeking to renew it, new rules are in play for those of you who are looking to renew your work permit. Gone are the days of automatic extensions. Your work permit will no longer be automatically extended via that receipt notice, right? So what this gives immigration the power to do is, until they make a determination whether or not you are going to get your work permit renewed, you have no work permit. And where it is that your work permit has in fact expired and you do not receive the new work permit, you're now working without authorization. So let me just encourage those of you have your work permit renewal applications to make. You can put in this application up to 180 days before it expires. Your receipt notices for the filings that occur October 30th or after, so if they receive your application on October 30th or after, those receipt notices are no longer going to say that your work permit has been automatically extended for 180 days. So I'm going to encourage you, if you have your renewal applications to put in, try and put them within 180 days. Once that 180 days before the expiration opens up, send in your renewals. Now, the thing about the work permits now is that work permits have moved from 1 year to 2 years, and work permits are now 5 years. I don't know if they're going to start considering reducing the time, right? But at this point, for the 5-year people who have the work permit, usually your case is determined before then, right? So you're really not in jeopardy as long as they maintain that time period. Under this administration, who knows? They may be looking in to reduce the time. Nobody knows and nobody can say for certain what's going to happen. But I'm going to, in fact, encourage you, right? Because remember, we are in the age of proper screening, robust vetting. So things that they probably would have missed before, they are not going to miss. And as stated on the USCIS website, your work permit is not a right. Caller, you are on the air, love. I'm good, my darling. How can I help you this morning? Yes. So if it is, and I'll get into that later, but we'll get into the whole fraud in applications and, you know, criminal history. So keep listening. We'll get into that later. You can get denaturalized. All right? All right, my love. Take care. All right. So for those of you with your work permits, I am so going to encourage you. Go ahead, put in your applications. You have up until 180 days before it expires, where that window opens. Put in for the renewal, because you're no longer getting that automatic extension. Those receipt notices after October 30th, that's no longer going to say that it's automatically extended. And if your employer is one where they maintain a very diligent system, because most employers now getting as robust as immigration, because nobody wants to get caught up and move to the left of this administration. We're in serious times, and if you have your work permit to renew, you're not gonna get that automatic extension on the receipt notice. You have to wait till they make a decision on your application, right? Now, I want to focus on a side note here. For people who have been accorded DACA, right? And for those of you who are first-time applicants and you never applied, immigration was always accepting the applications, but they were not adjudicating these initial DACA applications. Now, there has been a decision arising out of Texas, and nobody in Texas just satisfied they file another application. Why? The courts now can accept the initial DACA applications. They were always renewing the DACA applications, but for anyone who was familiar with DACA, you knew that if you had an initial application, they were accepting it, but they were in fact not making a decision. So you're just waiting. Now there is a decision. They're waiting on the judge to issue whatever guidelines, and they're now taking in the people who you sit down, you hear the news, you never apply, or probably you never hear that you could have applied for DACA. But I just want to remind you, DACA, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, it does not give you lawful status. All it does is stop accruing all unlawful presence. And I'm going to show you the danger now that even though you stop accruing unlawful presence, you don't have lawful status. So certain things like making an application for a gun, yeah, only people who are in lawful status can apply for a gun permit. So I don't know why you'd be looking to apply for a gun. Probably for safety purposes, I would hope, not for any illicit means, right? But immigration officers are now given the direct instructions that they are supposed to issue a notice of intent to terminate your DACA, citing the unlawful attempt to purchase a firearm, right? For those of you who are DACA applicants looking to buy firearms, once you made the application for the firearm, that goes to the Fed. So I am just going to encourage you, be very careful as to what you are doing. They don't even care about your intent. That doesn't matter. Once you attempt to purchase the firearm, right? That's it. Nobody cares about your intention if you are a DACA holder. So just be very careful what you are doing, because it's hard to get these benefits, but it is so easy to lose them. So it is, and DACA people, you are still, if your status prior to applying for DACA, you were illegal or unlawful in the United States, you're basically, once if the DACA gets terminated, you're gone back to your status, right? So you're not, if you have DACA, right, and you're basically illegal in the United States, because to apply for the DACA, you could not have been in lawful status on the day you applied. So if you go ahead, because to purchase a firearm, you must be in lawful status. So if you are in, the federal rule is simply this: any alien who is not in a valid immigrant, non-immigrant, or parole status, it is illegal or unlawful to purchase this firearm. So just be very careful what you're doing. And let's move from DACA. People without papers, we're talking at the islands. You don't have no papers, you're illegal or you're unlawful. Do not attempt to buy a firearm. Simply put, no buying no gun, you're not on a status, right? That is a crime. Just the transaction not go through. You're just making an attempt. That is a crime, right? And there are certain crimes you don't want to have when you finally have the ability to legalize your status. So just a reminder, people with DACA, them specifically target you, and they're reminding you, you do not have lawful status, right? And if you make an attempt to go ahead and purchase a gun, they're going to send a notice of intent to terminate. So they give you the opportunity to argue why it is that it should not be terminated. But I can guarantee you the majority of these notice of intent to terminate, they're going to end up in termination, and you're going to end up in removal proceedings. There are certain things in life, it's not worth it. Prior to DACA, these childhood arrivals, most of you had no proof of your entry. So a lot of young people did not have the ability to adjust. And for DACA recipients, you cannot adjust. Most of them, if you did not enter with inspection, that is, there was an immigration officer when you came to the country, you were either admitted, because you come on a visa, them stamp you get your I-94, or you were paroled. If you never had that, you could not adjust. But at least DACA gives you the ability, because of that work permit, except for Texas now, because of this new decision that came down. Texas was able to prove that they would be irreparably harmed, right? So the harm to them outweigh the benefits to the state of Texas. So when you're in Texas now, you're not gonna get the work permit. You'll get the deferred status. That say you stop accrue unlawful present, but for Texas, you're not getting the work permit. And I'll tell you this: when Texas got that decision, a lot of red states filed new applications. So this is going to now, in the future, unfortunately, extend. But if you have a work permit, you better not move to Texas if you are that DACA recipient. Texas not gonna recognize a work permit, and this is how serious Texas is. They're not playing down there. All right, and this is why you see when a lot of people came through Texas, they run into states like California or New York, sanctuary states, because Texas is serious down there. It's the Lone Star State, right? All right, so I'm now going to get into, for those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. The office focuses on divorce, immigration, bankruptcy, real estate, and estate matters. And we also do eviction proceedings. There is a second office in Jamaica, West Indies, that focuses on legal representation if you're buying or you're selling property, or you're